Please help me in giving a warm welcome to Miss Kelsey Stitt as she shares her story of her husband, Kenneth Stitt.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to cry. Hi, my name is Kelsey Stitt. I am the wife of the late Kenny Stitt Jr. I graduated from Slippery Rock University with a bachelor's degree in marketing and avoiding eye contact with people. My junior year, I somehow managed to schedule an online public speaking course. And this thing that I'm doing today is not me, but I haven't been me since I lost Ken. And I jump at any opportunity to speak about him and talk about our story, starting with giving a eulogy at his funeral. I believe this is what I'm supposed to do. What other reason would there have been for something like this to happen to my family? We can sulk at our situations forever, or we can use them for God's glory. Ken and I met at work a long time ago. His cousin, who is here with us today, is the manager at my dad's Agway store. She hired Ken. He's 4.5 years older than me, but somehow a few years after he was hired, we fell in love. Ken worked at DeFurco as college help a couple summers. He always wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps, Ken Sr., who also worked at Sharon Steel and DeFurco, especially after losing him to cancer in 2006 when he was a junior in high school. When college didn't work out, my Ken worked a few odd jobs until he got hired at DeFurco full-time in June of 2012. We were so excited. His twin sister was preparing to get married, and we always dreamt of doing the same, but we were kind of poor. The money that Ken made down there, it was nothing to snub your nose at. December 2012, we got engaged. December 2014, we bought a house. I finished college in May of 2015, and we were married in July. We enjoyed each other's company a lot when Ken wasn't at work, of course. We waited a few years to have kids. Our daughter Cambry was born in February of 2019. August of 2020, our union went on strike, and we got pregnant with baby Kenny the 3rd in December. We were ecstatic. I was so relieved that we were going to have a boy, and Ken's name would be carried on, and he'd no longer be the last Stitt of his family left. March 2021, he finally went back to work. Baby Kenny was born August 2021. Ken was killed October 12th, 2021. He was 6 days away from turning 33. Our kids were 2.5 years and 2 months old. I was 28. Ken was hands down the best husband and father ever. He was patient, loving, caring, kind, always, no matter what anybody else ever did to him. He was an excellent example of how we are supposed to be. The love of Jesus radiated off of him at all times. He loved helping people. He did anything for me, even if he had no idea how to do it. He loved his kids and was so proud of them. So many people down at the mill told me over and over how much he loved us. He thought the world of us. He was always showing everyone pictures of his kids, telling stories. He enjoyed his life, his family, his job. He was happy, and he made anybody he came into contact with happy. Sometimes I think it's easy for people to see the good in others when they're no longer on earth. Not Ken. Everybody could see his worth when he was here. I told him almost weekly that he was a better husband than I was a wife, and I stand by that. I have a lot of regrets. I try to channel my self-disappointments into being more like Ken in my new life. It's not an easy thing to do. He was one of a kind. Ken was 8 months short of being employed at NLMK for 10 years. He was proud of his job. He loved his coworkers. He loved telling me and our big family stories about working there. He would come home with pictures and videos of things that happened, or just a general picture of the department that he was working in at that time so that he could explain in great detail exactly what he was doing at work. When we went on strike, Ken was always down on the line when he was scheduled. When we were asked to go down extra, we were there. As the weather changed that year, Ken could always be seen splitting wood to put in the burn barrels outside. He wanted nothing to do with being stuck inside the propane-heated sheds with the other smelly guys. He was always doing something. He was always talking to somebody about something. We were complete opposites. I've been seriously lost without him the last 1.5 years. It's been really hard to put myself out there because Ken always did everything for me. When Ken was killed, he was working in the roll shop. He had a bid over there a couple years earlier. It was better pay, and he wanted to be with one of his really good work friends again. That friend actually ended up bidding out of the department right after Ken got in, but Ken stayed because he loved it. Ken was an extremely hard worker. He was one of the best. There are no arguments about that. He knew what he was doing. He did what he was supposed to do when he was supposed to. He did it correctly. He worked smart and safe and in a timely manner. I did not once ever worry about Ken being at work. I knew that guys had been injured down there before, but never killed. I knew that Ken knew what he was doing. I never once considered the possibility of him being in contact with somebody who was not trained correctly. I never thought twice about something going so wrong that he would lose his life. All of these things were on my mental list entitled, "That would never happen to me." Those guys down there, they watched out for each other. They all have families. They knew how dangerous it was. Because of company negligence and training and disorganization of the department, my husband was in the wrong spot at the wrong time and was pinned between a roll on the crane and one sitting on the floor. Because of the carelessness of this company, I was woken up at 2 a.m. by the cousin who had hired Ken at my dad's store with a phone call. "Kenny was hurt real bad at work. I don't know what happened," she said. I frantically read all the messages on my phone from everybody down at the mill. When I got a hold of the union, I knew he was dead. I knew it in my heart. There were no messages from Ken, none. The last thing he said to me was, "Here I am," when he got to work on the night of October 11, 2021, the last day I saw him. October 12, 2021, early in the morning, he was gone forever. October 12, 2021 was the longest day of my life. 2 a.m. wake-up call, driving to the hospital with my newborn and cousin. Ken's mom running up to me in the conference room of the hospital yelling, "He's gone, he's gone." The coroner handing me his lunchbox and phone. It wasn't real for a long time, like months. And to be honest, all of his stuff from work that night is still sitting in his red Flyer wagon in our garage. His drink is still in his bottle. I can't touch it. We had several visitors that day throughout the day. I was numb. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I always assumed I could never live without Ken. I have proven myself wrong, obviously, but not without the assistance from a lot of people. The union was on the case immediately. They raised a ton of money. They brought food. They brought me things I knew were still in the mill that were Ken's. They had everybody on the search for other things that were missing. The offers for help with anything I need are still on the table. Anytime I see one of them, it's the same thing. Anything you need, please let us know. I will never forget that first week when they told me that I'd be a sister forever. I didn't take that lightly. I like to tell people about all the things that Ken has blessed me with. His family is one of them. I love them so much. I can count on them to do anything for me at any time. They have done an excellent job working together to try to fill Ken's shoes. Ken's life was half his family and half his work, and I can never put into words how grateful I am for our union. I know if I ever need anything that they'll be there. Ken was the best husband, father, son, cousin, everything. Our union is the best union. I'm not really sure how I could have ever been so blessed to have the best of both of these worlds. It has been nice to be in regular contact with a union official close to my age. Although Colton is 4.5 years younger than I am, and he'll never let me forget it, I have really appreciated being able to relate life's problems with him. It's definitely been one of the things that has helped me get through. Today is actually my 30th birthday. This is not at all any way I ever imagined spending this milestone of a day, and it serves as a grim reminder that I must have been made for this life. My husband's death was 100% preventable. Company negligence stole him away from me, our children, and our family. I have never felt the surrealness of my husband just being a number to the company he worked for until he was killed. They didn't know who he was. They didn't know me or our family or how young we were. And after a while, I don't think they really cared much anymore. The union knew my husband. He was an active, dedicated member, as the union was active and dedicated to our lives before and continuing after the accident. You get what you give, and I'm here to continue to give hope in memory of my husband. A year ago, I started a Facebook page. I named it Love Like Kenny. I post memories of him and updates on my life and our kids' lives. I try to tagline everything with "Eternity is worth it." I've heard that the things I write give people hope for their own lives. That was my goal. We had our first annual Kelsey Stitt get-together and gun raffle last October. We had a ton of help from the union with that. It went really well, and we have been actively planning the second one for this October. It's important for me to continue doing this. I want my kids to grow up knowing how important their dad was, be able to stay in contact with people from his work, and keep his memory alive, celebrating his life with things he loved. We also started a pulling team in memory of Ken. One of his favorite things to do was watch the truck and tractor pulls. His cousin and best friend, Matt, has a semi that we have been rebuilding to make it better so we can actually compete. We also decided to make a dream of Ken and Matt's come true by rebuilding the family Oliver tractor so we can pull it as well. I can't wait to see that come true. Ken's little cousin Clayton also has a garden tractor that he pulls. I'm really excited for this summer. I love spending time with the family, especially when we're doing things that Ken would love. We're just a bunch of happy rednecks trying to make it through life without one of our biggest supporters. Ken is buried in Mount Washington Cemetery in Jefferson Township along with his dad and several other family members. The stone that I designed for our plots was just installed in December. I knew I wanted to put a Bible verse on there that would speak for both of our lives, so I'm going to end on that. And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. 1 Peter 5:10. Thanks.